In a startling turn of events, the formerly inseparable pair Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck have entered an intensely unusual covert friends with benefits understanding, a scenario that has sent shockwaves through their circle, rattled the steady foundations of Garner's engagement, and left onlookers reeling with the implications. Garner, now 53, after her public split from Affleck in 2018, following a marriage of 13 long years, has quietly opted into this arrangement with her ex, a decision both unexpected and electric in its complexity. The two share a famously tight and deeply woven friendship, anchored by the shared responsibility of raising their children, Violet, 19, Serafina, 16, and Samuel, 13, and fortified by the years they spent together. Throughout their split and subsequent co-parenting journey, Garner and Affleck have maintained an amicable, even warm rapport. But in recent months, sources intimate something far more charged has taken root, an emotional intimacy and physical comfort that moves beyond the ordinary boundaries of post-marriage friendship. Jen and Ben have always shared a really powerful bond, a source close to Garner confided. It's built on years of love, trust, and family. Lately, that closeness has deepened. They've been turning to each other for comfort, and it's naturally become something more intimate. In other words, what began as abiding mutual support has evolved into an arrangement somewhere between devotion and desire, trust and temptation. It must be emphasized here, this is not about them getting back together in the conventional sense of rekindling their marriage. Far from it. According to insiders, the arrangement is less about romance and more about seeking a sanctuary in the person who knows you completely, the person who has seen you at your worst, who has carried the weight of your darkest hours, and who continues to stand by your side even now. It's about finding comfort in someone who knows you completely, the source elaborated. They've weathered addiction, divorce, and years of co-parenting. That kind of shared history creates a connection most people could never understand. Meanwhile, Garner, although engaged to businessman John Miller, 47, has laid down unmistakable ground rules. She's been completely honest with Ben about where they stand, another insider revealed. There are firm boundaries, no staying over, no date nights, and no talk about what comes next. Jen loves John and still intends to marry him, but what she shares with Ben is something separate. It's built on history and mutual understanding, not on trying to relive their marriage. Affleck, likewise, is said to have signed on to Garner's conditions with respect and restraint. Ben has more respect for Jen than anyone else in his life, a third source noted. She stood by him through his darkest moments, and he trusts her without question. This setup lets them stay connected, but without mixing up the bond they have now with the relationship they used to share. Garner and Affleck first crossed paths on the set of Pearl Harbor in 2001, later co-starred in Daredevil, then married in 2005, only to announce their separation a decade later. Despite the divorce, their commitment to co-parenting has remained as steadfast as ever, with frequent sightings attending school events, family gatherings, and navigating life together as allies. But friends close to them say that the delicate line between emotional support and intimacy began to blur earlier this year when Affleck was going through a rough patch. Garner reportedly stepped in to help him find balance again, the kind of quiet, grounding presence she has always been for him. Jen has always been the person who grounds him, said a longtime family friend. She has this unique ability to calm him and make him feel seen. That deep connection between them just resurfaced naturally. In other words, when the storm hit Affleck, Garner was the harbor, the refuge, and in returning to that role, their relationship shifted. Of course, this kind of arrangement doesn't come without concern. Garner's inner circle remains uneasy about what this could mean, emotionally, socially, and romantically. John's aware of the bond Jen and Ben share and has tried to be understanding, a source reported. But it's obvious to everyone that things are getting complicated. Jen keeps saying she's devoted to her engagement and still plans to go through with the wedding, yet she just can't seem to fully let go of Ben. From the outside, this isn't exactly a love triangle in the neat, cliched Hollywood sense. It's subtler, thornier. It's not really a love triangle. It's more like unresolved feelings between two people who will always have a love that never completely disappeared, one observer mused. When you look at the laundry list, shared history, joint parenting, years of emotional entanglement, Affleck's personal turbulence, Garner's unwavering presence, the arrangement starts to make a strange, almost inevitable kind of sense. They know each other's scars, they've held each other's hands through the worst of times, and they remain bound by their children and by memory. But the precariousness lies in the state of limbo, not marriage, not boyfriend-girlfriend, not strictly platonic. It's a liminal space, floating between consolation and temptation, driven by familiarity, empathy, and the gravitational pull of past devotion. Garner's decision to operate within strict boundaries, no overnight stays, no date nights, no future talk, underscores her desire to contain what this is and keep it from spilling into something she doesn't intend. She still intends to marry John Miller. She still intends to move on. Yet, she also remains rooted in that singular bond with Affleck, one forged over decades of love, loss, parenting, and partnership. Affleck, for his part, reportedly respects those boundaries, honors the arrangement, and is comfortable with their defined terms, at least for now. And so the picture that emerges is of two familiar souls, entwined again, but not as lovers, not as husband and wife, just two people who know each other too well to ever fully let go, yet who have agreed to a delicate dance of proximity and affection. Friends say the ground beneath them could shift at any moment, one misstep, one lingering look, one unguarded moment, and the arrangement could tip into something else entirely. Still, for now, Garner appears determined to walk the tightrope. The arrangement may feel safe, familiar, and mutually beneficial, but the stakes are high. With a fiancé waiting in the wings, children watching, a history shared, and feelings stirred, the situation is charged with potential. What's fascinating, and perhaps inevitable, is how deeply human it all is. Two people who were once joined for life, now navigating the landscape of their past, their present obligations, and an emotional terrain that refuses to stay neatly in the past. In short, this isn't your conventional "we got back together" headline. It's more complex, more layered, and far more emotionally rich. It's about history, resilience, boundaries, longing, and the acknowledged fact that sometimes the person you once built a life with remains irreplaceable in some ways, even when the life itself has ended.